Imagine waking up one morning with no plan, no itinerary, and an entire country laid out in front of you. Not just any country, but the United States of America. A place so ridiculously large that you could drive for days and still not leave. A place where, in a single afternoon, you could go from standing on a black sand beach to staring up at a glacier, from exploring centuries-old streets to riding a roller coaster through a theme park built on pure fantasy. That is the United States. And today, we are counting down 50 of its most jaw-dropping, must-see destinations, from the barely known gems to the bucket list legends. So buckle up, because this is one ride you absolutely do not want to miss. Number 50, Big Sur, California. We start our journey on the central California coast, on a stretch of land that drivers and road trippers have been fantasizing about for decades. Big Sur does not really have a mayor or a city hall. It barely has a downtown. What it does have is roughly 90 miles of some of the most dramatic coastal scenery on the planet. Highway 1 winds through Big Sur like a ribbon of asphalt stitched between the Santa Lucia Mountains and the Pacific Ocean. On one side, cliffs. On the other, a drop straight into the sea. The redwood trees that cluster in the canyons here are among the tallest living things on Earth, and the hiking trails that cut through Julia Pfeiffer State Park and Pfeiffer Big Sur State Park take you deep into an ancient world of ferns, fog, and silence. If you're ever on a California road trip, do not race through Big Sur just to tick it off a list. Stop, walk, breathe it in. Number 49, St. Augustine, Florida. Most people think of Miami or Orlando when they think of Florida. But tucked away on the northeastern coast of the Sunshine State is a city that is unlike anything else in the country, and it has been around since 1565. St. Augustine holds the distinction of being the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the entire United States. That means people have been living here, building here, and calling this place home for over 450 years. Walking through its historic district feels like stepping into a living museum. Spanish colonial architecture lines the narrow streets. Horse-drawn carriages clatter over old cobblestones. The Castillo de San Marcos, a 17th-century fort built entirely of coquina shell, still stands guard over the harbor. And then, just a short drive away, there's the Atlantic coast offering warm water and year-round sun. History meets the beach. What more could you want? Number 48, Olympic National Park, Washington. Here's a question for you. What if I told you that within the same national park, you could walk through a temperate rainforest, hike across a glacier, and stand on a wild Pacific coastline, all in one day? Sounds made up, right? Welcome to Olympic National Park, one of the most ecologically diverse places in the entire world. Occupying a massive chunk of Washington State's Olympic Peninsula, this park receives more annual rainfall than anywhere else on the U.S. mainland. And all of that water has given birth to something extraordinary, a dense, impossibly green rainforest draped in moss and mist, home to towering Sitka spruce trees and the kind of silence that makes big cities feel like a distant hallucination. Above the treeline, the Olympic Mountains carry more than 180 glaciers. The Hurricane Ridge area offers panoramic mountain views that are genuinely hard to believe. This park is a masterpiece. Number 47, Asheville, North Carolina. Nestled deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the city of Asheville has developed a reputation that is hard to pin down in a single sentence. It is artsy and quirky, but not in a pretentious way. It is small, but does not feel small. It has a downtown packed with independent galleries, craft breweries, and live music spilling out of open doorways, and it sits in the middle of mountain scenery that takes your breath away. And then there is the Biltmore Estate. Built by George Vanderbilt in the 1890s, this 8,000-acre property features a 250-room French Renaissance chateau that remains, to this day, the largest privately owned home in the United States. The gardens were designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, the same man who designed Central Park. It is remarkable by any standard. Asheville is the kind of place you visit for a weekend and end up spending a weekend. Number 46, Monument Valley, Arizona and Utah. You have seen Monument Valley before, even if you have never been there. It has been photographed for car commercials, painted by artists, and used as a backdrop in more Western films than almost any other landscape on Earth. And yet, no photograph or film has ever truly captured what it actually feels like to stand in it. The towering sandstone buttes, some of them rising nearly 1,000 feet from the desert floor, are managed by the Navajo Nation Tribal Park. Visiting here is not just a scenic experience, it is a cultural one. The Navajo have lived in this landscape for centuries, and their presence gives the valley a depth and gravity that goes beyond its famous silhouette. Come at sunrise or sunset, the light turns everything a deep, burning red. It is unforgettable. Number 45. Austin, Texas. Texas is a state full of big personalities, but Austin plays by its own rules. The state capital has long leaned into its reputation as the weird one in the family, and that is absolutely a compliment. Austin's unofficial motto, "Keep Austin Weird," is more than a bumper sticker. It reflects a genuine commitment to creativity, individuality, and a live and let live energy that you can feel the moment you arrive. The live music scene here is extraordinary. 6th Street and the Rainy Street corridor are lined with venues hosting everything from country and blues to experimental jazz and indie rock. Austin has more live music venues per capita than almost any other city in the country. Beyond music, there is the spectacular Texas Capitol building, which actually stands taller than the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., and the Congress Avenue Bridge, where over 1 million free-tailed bats take to the sky every evening from spring through fall. It is one of the most unusual wildlife spectacles in urban America. Number 44. Mount Rushmore, South Dakota. Carved into the granite face of the Black Hills of South Dakota, Mount Rushmore is one of those monuments that feels both larger and more intimate than you expect. The four faces, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln, were sculpted between 1927 and 1941 under the direction of artist Gutzon Borglum. Each face stands roughly 60 feet tall, and the sheer precision of the carving, done largely with dynamite and hand tools, is astounding. The Lincoln Borglum Visitor Center tells the full story of how it was made, and the Presidential Trail offers different vantage points as you circle the memorial. The Black Hills themselves are worth spending extra time in, with wind caves, bison herds roaming Custer State Park, and some truly excellent hiking throughout the region. Number 43. Aspen, Colorado. Aspen sits in a valley in the Rocky Mountains at an elevation of nearly 8,000 feet. In winter, it is draped in snow and buzzing with some of the best skiing in North America. In summer, the mountains turn green and the hiking trails are spectacular. Year-round, the town itself is charming, walkable, and packed with excellent restaurants and independent shops. Yes, Aspen has a reputation for being the playground of the wealthy, and that reputation is not entirely unfounded. But it is also genuinely accessible to anyone who wants to show up and experience the mountains. The skiing across Aspen Mountain, Snowmass, Aspen Highlands, and Buttermilk is world-class, and the scenery in any season is among the best in the country. Number 42. Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Jutting out into the Atlantic Ocean like a crooked arm, Cape Cod has been one of New England's most beloved summer destinations for well over a century. The Cape Cod National Seashore, which was protected by President Kennedy in 1961, preserves miles of pristine beach, marsh, and heathland along the outer cape. The town of Provincetown, perched at the very tip, has long been a haven for artists, writers, and the LGBTQ+ community. Its galleries, restaurants, and performance spaces make it one of the most culturally vibrant small towns in America. And then there are the lighthouses, the cranberry bogs, the whale-watching boats, and the simple pleasure of sitting on a Cape Cod beach with a bowl of clam chowder as the sun goes down. Number 41. Niagara Falls, New York. Niagara Falls is made up of 3 separate waterfalls: Horseshoe Falls, the American Falls, and the smaller Bridal Veil Falls. Together, they form the highest flow rate waterfall on the continent, with roughly 3,160 tons of water cascading over the edge every single second. The American side of Niagara Falls has seen significant investment in recent years, with Niagara Falls State Park, the oldest state park in the country, offering some of the best views. The Maid of the Mist boat tour brings visitors right up to the base of the falls, where the roar of the water is so loud you can feel it in your chest. It is raw, overwhelming, and absolutely worth making the trip. Number 40. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh is one of America's great comeback stories. Once the industrial heartbeat of the nation, a city of steel mills and smokestacks, it has transformed itself into a hub of technology, healthcare, education, and culture. And through all of it, it kept its soul. Built at the confluence of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers, Pittsburgh has a topography unlike any other major American city. Neighborhoods cling to hillsides, connected by bridges. There are more bridges here than in any other city in the world, Venice included. The view of downtown Pittsburgh from Mount Washington, accessible by inclined railway, is one of the great urban panoramas in the country. The Andy Warhol Museum, the Carnegie Museums, and a thriving food scene all add to Pittsburgh's considerable appeal. Number 39. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is a city that moves fast. As the capital of Georgia and one of the largest metro areas in the southeastern United States, it is a major center of commerce, culture, and history. But it is also a city of contrasts, gleaming glass towers rising out of lush greenery, historic civil rights landmarks standing a few blocks from cutting-edge restaurants and music venues. The Martin Luther King Jr. National Historical Park, the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, and the Carter Presidential Library all offer powerful and educational experiences. The Georgia Aquarium, which holds more water than any other aquarium in the Western Hemisphere, is a marvel of engineering. And if you're into film and TV production, Atlanta has become one of the busiest production hubs in the world. Number 38. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Santa Fe is one of those rare cities where the built environment itself has become a tourist attraction. Since 1957, a city ordinance has required that all new buildings conform to the Pueblo Revival or territorial architectural style. What that means in practice is that the entire city, its hotels, galleries, government buildings, and restaurants, is rendered in adobe and earth tones, creating a visual harmony that is completely unique in the United States. At 7,000 feet above sea level, Santa Fe sits higher than Denver. Its cultural scene is extraordinary. The Canyon Road Corridor alone has more than 100 galleries. The food, deeply influenced by New Mexican chili cuisine, is world-renowned. And the Palace of the Governors, built in 1610, remains the oldest continuously occupied public building in the country. Number 37. Mackinac Island, Michigan. Here is a travel experience that truly feels like stepping back in time. Mackinac Island, sitting in Lake Huron at the northern tip of Michigan, has banned motorized vehicles since 1898. That means no cars, no motorcycles, no trucks. The only way to get around is on foot, by bicycle, or in a horse-drawn carriage. The clip-clop of hooves on cobblestone is the soundtrack to this island, and the pace of life here is wonderfully unhurried. Victorian-era architecture lines the streets. Fudge shops that have been open for generations draw visitors through their doors, and the Grand Hotel, one of the largest summer resort hotels in the world, presides over the whole scene with old-world elegance. It is genuinely one of the most charming places in the entire country. Number 36. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Gatlinburg sits right at the gateway to Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the most visited national park in the entire United States, attracting more than 12 million people per year. And while the park itself is the main draw, Gatlinburg is a legitimate destination in its own right. In summer, it is a base camp for hikers, wildlife watchers, and waterfall chasers. The Appalachian Trail, which runs more than 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine, passes directly through the Smokies. In winter, Ober-Gatlinburg Ski Resort transforms the mountain town into one of Tennessee's only winter sports destinations. Year-round, the Sky Bridge, the longest pedestrian suspension bridge in North America, offers views that will stop you cold. Number 35. Grand Teton National Park, Wyoming. If you have ever seen a photograph of a jagged mountain range reflected perfectly in a still, mirror-like lake, there's a very good chance it was taken in Grand Teton National Park. The Teton Range rises abruptly from the floor of Jackson Hole, a broad valley in northwestern Wyoming, without the gradual foothills that most mountain ranges build up. The result is a visual impact that is almost shockingly dramatic. Grand Teton, the highest peak in the range, reaches 13,775 feet above sea level. The park is home to one of the healthiest ecosystems in North America, supporting populations of grizzly bears, wolves, pronghorn antelope, and bison. The Snake River meanders through the valley, offering excellent fishing and whitewater rafting. This is Wyoming at its wildest and most spectacular. Number 34. Lake Tahoe, California and Nevada. Straddling the border between California and Nevada, Lake Tahoe is the largest alpine lake in North America. It is 22 miles long, 12 miles wide, and in places more than 1,600 feet deep. The water is so clear that you can see to a depth of 70 feet on calm days. The surrounding Sierra Nevada mountains provide a dramatic backdrop in every direction. In summer, Tahoe is a paradise for kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking, and mountain biking. In winter, the nearby ski resorts, including Palisades Tahoe, Heavenly, and North Star, rank among the best in North America. And for those who want a different kind of entertainment, the Nevada side of the lake has a collection of lakeside casinos offering shows, dining, and, of course, gambling. Number 33, San Diego, California. San Diego is the kind of city that makes you wonder why you ever live anywhere with cold winters. With an average year-round temperature of about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, a stunning natural harbor, a relaxed atmosphere, and food that reflects its position right on the Mexican border, San Diego has a lifestyle that is genuinely hard to find fault with. Balboa Park is one of the greatest urban green spaces in the country, housing the world-famous San Diego Zoo along with 17 museums, multiple gardens, and theaters. The historic Gaslamp Quarter downtown is packed with restaurants and nightlife. The surf and beach culture in neighborhoods like Pacific Beach and Ocean Beach feels authentic and unpretentious. And the Mexican food, from street tacos to California-style burritos, is some of the best in the nation. Number 32, Cannon Beach, Oregon. Oregon's coastline is one of the most underrated stretches of shoreline in the country. The entire coast is publicly accessible by law, no private beachfront here, and it is dotted with sea stacks, headlands, and tiny towns that have preserved their character against the pressures of overdevelopment. Cannon Beach is the crown jewel of the Oregon coast. Its defining feature is Haystack Rock, a 235-foot basalt monolith rising straight out of the surf, home to nesting tufted puffins every spring and summer. The town itself is a genuine artist community, home to galleries, boutique shops, and exceptional restaurants. The combination of dramatic scenery, vibrant culture, and that cool Pacific fog gives Cannon Beach a personality unlike any beach town you have visited before. Number 31, Carlsbad Caverns, New Mexico. There are places that remind you just how ancient the Earth really is, and Carlsbad Caverns is one of them. Located in the Chihuahuan Desert of southeastern New Mexico, this network of more than 100 caves was formed over 4 to 6 million years ago through a process involving sulfuric acid dissolving the surrounding limestone from below, a rare geological formation process. The Big Room, the main cave chamber, covers an area of 8.2 acres, large enough to fit 6 football fields. Its ceiling in places soars 255 feet overhead. You can walk its 1.25-mile trail at your own pace, past thousands of stalactites, stalagmites, and cave formations. And every evening from late spring through early fall, 400,000 Brazilian free-tailed bats spiral out of the cave entrance at dusk in one of the most spectacular wildlife events you will ever witness. Number 30, Boston, Massachusetts. Boston is where American history feels most alive. This is the city where the seeds of the American Revolution were planted, where the Boston Massacre, the Boston Tea Party, and the battles of Lexington and Concord all unfolded in quick succession, changing the course of history forever. The Freedom Trail, a 2.5-mile walking route marked by a red line on the sidewalk, connects 16 significant historical sites, from the Massachusetts State House to Paul Revere's house to the USS Constitution, the oldest commissioned warship still afloat in the world. Beyond the history, Boston is a world-class city with incredible universities, a passionate sports culture, outstanding seafood, and neighborhoods like Beacon Hill and the South End that are among the most beautiful in the country. Number 29, the Outer Banks, North Carolina. The Outer Banks is a 200-mile chain of barrier islands and peninsulas off the coast of North Carolina, separated from the mainland by a series of sounds and waterways. It is one of the most geographically interesting stretches of coastline in the eastern United States, constantly reshaped by wind, water, and the occasional hurricane. The northern end of the Outer Banks is home to wild colonial Spanish Mustangs, horses descended from those brought by Spanish explorers in the 16th century, still roaming free on the beaches and marshes. Kitty Hawk is where Wilbur and Orville Wright made their first successful powered aircraft flight in 1903. Cape Hatteras National Seashore, further south, offers some of the most unspoiled beaches on the East Coast. Number 28, Arches National Park, Utah. When the forces of geology and time align just right, they create something that looks less like a natural formation and more like a dream. Arches National Park, located near Moab in southeastern Utah, contains more than 2,000 natural sandstone arches, the highest density of natural arches anywhere on Earth. These formations developed over millions of years as water, ice, and gravity work their way through the intrata sandstone. Delicate Arch, perched on the rim of a canyon with the La Salle Mountains in the background, is arguably the most photographed natural arch in the world. Landscape arch stretches 306 feet, longer than a football field, and continues to lose rock with every passing year. Arches is a place of impermanence and wonder. Number 27. Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston is a city that wears its history openly. As one of the most important ports in early American history, Charleston was the entry point for more enslaved Africans than any other city on the continent. That history is present throughout the city, acknowledged in its museums, its plantation sites, and its ongoing conversations about memory and reckoning. At the same time, Charleston is strikingly beautiful. Its historic downtown, a peninsula defined by the Ashley and Cooper rivers, is packed with antebellum architecture, flowering gardens, and cobblestone streets. The food scene, built on low-country traditions of shrimp and grits, she crab soup, and smoked oysters, is extraordinary. And Fort Sumter, accessible by ferry, marks the spot where the Civil War officially began. Number 26. Yosemite National Park, California. There are places that make you feel small in the best possible way. Yosemite is one of them. Standing on a valley floor and looking up at El Capitan, a sheer granite wall rising 3,000 feet straight up, you understand, viscerally, just how insignificant human concerns really are. Yosemite Valley was carved by glaciers during the last ice age, and the result is a landscape of breathtaking proportions. Yosemite Falls drops nearly 2,500 feet, making it the tallest waterfall in North America. The giant sequoias of the Mariposa Grove are the largest living organisms on Earth. Half Dome, rising above the valley in its distinctive rounded form, is one of the most recognizable mountains in the world. Yosemite is not just a national park, it is a national treasure. Number 25. Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville has undergone a remarkable transformation in the last 2 decades. What was once primarily a destination for country music fans has evolved into one of the hottest cities in the country, drawing visitors, new residents, and investment from all directions. But the music is still the soul of this city. Lower Broadway, lined with honky-tonk bars, is one of the most reliably entertaining streets in America. The Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum houses the world's largest collection of country music artifacts. The Ryman Auditorium, the original home of the Grand Ole Opry, still hosts live performances that feel genuinely sacred. Beyond music, Nashville has world-class restaurants, a growing art scene, and the Parthenon, a full-scale replica of the original structure in Athens, Greece, sitting in Centennial Park. It is a city of surprises. Number 24. Bar Harbor, Maine. Bar Harbor sits on Mount Desert Island off the coast of Maine, and it serves as the gateway to Acadia National Park, one of the most visited national parks in the eastern United States. The park itself is a wonder of rugged coastal scenery, featuring pink granite peaks, cobblestone beaches, and the famous carriage roads built by John D. Rockefeller Jr. in the early 20th century. Cadillac Mountain, at 1,530 feet, the highest point on the U.S. Atlantic coast, is one of the first places in the country to receive the morning sun from October through March. Watching the sunrise from its summit is an experience worth the early alarm. The town of Bar Harbor is small but lively, with excellent seafood, whale-watching tours, and that distinctly Maine combination of rugged independence and warm hospitality. Number 23. San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio is a city that carries centuries of history in every direction. Founded as a Spanish mission settlement in 1718, it changed hands through Spanish, Mexican, Texan, Confederate, and American periods before becoming the vibrant, multicultural city it is today. The Alamo, originally the Mission San Antonio de Valero, is where in 1836 a small group of Texan defenders held out against a massive Mexican army for 13 days in a battle that became central to Texan mythology. Today it stands as a museum in the heart of downtown, just steps from the Riverwalk. The San Antonio Riverwalk is 15 miles of pathways winding along the San Antonio River through the heart of the city, lined with restaurants, bars, hotels, and gardens. On a warm evening, it is one of the most pleasant urban promenades in the country. Number 22. Death Valley, California and Nevada. Death Valley holds more extreme records than almost any place on Earth. It is the hottest place ever recorded on the planet. A temperature of 134 degrees Fahrenheit was measured here in 1913, a record that still stands today. It is the driest place in North America, receiving less than 2 inches of rain per year on average. And Badwater Basin, at 282 feet below sea level, is the lowest point in North America. And yet, Death Valley is hauntingly beautiful. The salt flats of Badwater, the multicolored artist palette, the mysterious racetrack playa where rocks appear to move on their own, and the sculpted canyons of Zabriskie Point all make this one of the most photogenic landscapes in the world. Just visit in November through March. Trust me on that one. Number 21. Orlando, Florida. Before Walt Disney World opened in 1971, Orlando was a small agricultural city of about 100,000 people. Today, the greater Orlando metro area hosts more than 75 million visitors per year, making it the most visited tourist destination in the entire United States. Walt Disney World alone covers 40 square miles, roughly twice the size of Manhattan, and encompasses 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, a massive entertainment district, and dozens of resort hotels. Universal Studios Florida has become a destination in its own right, particularly following the opening of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Legoland, SeaWorld, Discovery Cove, and a constellation of other attractions round out an experience that is genuinely built for families. Orlando is the theme park capital of the world, and it earns that title every single day. Number 20. Savannah, Georgia. Savannah is one of those rare cities that manages to feel both timeless and alive. Georgia's oldest city was founded in 1733 and laid out on a unique grid of 22 public squares that still exist today, each shaded by ancient live oak trees draped in Spanish moss. Walking through Savannah's historic district is a genuinely transportive experience. Federal and Victorian-era mansions line the streets, their wrought iron balconies dripping with flowering vines. The cobblestone riverfront along the Savannah River is lined with restaurants and galleries. Forsyth Park, with its famous 1858 cast-iron fountain, is one of the most beautiful green spaces in the South, and the ghost tours here are legendary. Few American cities have a darker or more dramatic history, and the locals lean into it with relish. Number 19. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is where the United States, as a nation, was born. The Declaration of Independence was debated and signed here in 1776. The Constitution was written and ratified here in 1787. Independence Hall, where both of these events took place, is considered the birthplace of American democracy, and it is surrounded by a national historical park in the heart of the city. The Liberty Bell, with its famous crack, is housed just across the street. The Museum of the American Revolution, opened in 2017, is one of the finest history museums in the country. The Philadelphia Museum of Art, perched at the top of the steps made famous by the 1976 film Rocky, houses one of the great art collections in the world. And then there is the Italian Market, Reading Terminal Market, and a food culture that has given the world the cheesesteak, the hoagie, and soft pretzels that bear no resemblance to the things you buy at a sports stadium. Number 18. Sedona, Arizona. Sedona sits in the middle of Arizona's red rock country, surrounded by formations of iron oxide-rich sandstone that glow a deep, impossible red in the afternoon sun. The setting is so striking that artists began flocking here in the early 20th century, and Sedona has been a center of the arts and spiritual wellness communities ever since. The area is famous for its vortexes, locations where some visitors report feeling a heightened sense of energy or spiritual connection. Whether or not you believe in that kind of thing, the hiking around Sedona is genuinely world-class. Cathedral Rock, Bell Rock, and the West Fork Trail through Oak Creek Canyon are all spectacular. And the town itself has evolved into a dining and arts destination with a range of excellent restaurants and galleries. Number 17. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is a city that consistently punches above its weight. The third largest city in the United States, it has a skyline that rivals any in the world, a food scene that defines entire categories of American cuisine, a music history that shaped blues, jazz, gospel, house music, and hip-hop, and a cultural confidence that feels earned rather than assumed. The Chicago Architecture Foundation offers river tours that are among the best architecture experiences available anywhere. Millennium Park and its reflective cloud gate sculpture, the one everybody calls the Bean, has become one of the most photographed public artworks in the country. The Art Institute of Chicago houses one of the greatest collections in the world. And then there is the food. Deep dish pizza, Chicago-style hot dogs loaded with everything except ketchup, and an Italian beef sandwich that deserves its own documentary. Number 16. Denali National Park, Alaska. Denali National Park covers 6 million acres of wilderness in the heart of Alaska, an area larger than the state of New Hampshire. At its center stands Denali, formerly known as Mount McKinley, the highest mountain in North America at 20,310 feet above sea level. The park has only one road, and private vehicles are restricted beyond the first 15 miles. The rest of the park is accessible only by foot, by dog sled in winter, or by the park's own bus system. That inaccessibility is, in many ways, its greatest feature. Denali is one of the last places in the United States where you can experience truly undisturbed wilderness, watching grizzly bears, wolves, moose, and caribou going about their lives as if humans were an afterthought. Number 15. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is the most un-American city in the United States. That is not an insult. It is the highest possible compliment. This city has been shaped by French, Spanish, African, Creole, and Caribbean influences in ways that have produced a culture completely unlike anything else in the country, from its architecture to its music to its food to its fundamental approach to life and celebration. The French Quarter, with its wrought iron balconies and gaslit streets, is the most famous neighborhood. But Treem, the historic African-American neighborhood just outside it, is where jazz was born. The food, jambalaya, gumbo, étouffée, beignet, po' boys, is a cuisine of extraordinary depth and creativity. And the city's relationship with celebration, most famously in the annual Mardi Gras festivities, reflects a fundamentally different philosophy than most American cities possess. Number 14. Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado. Rocky Mountain National Park sits on the Continental Divide in northern Colorado, and Trail Ridge Road, which crosses the park at an elevation of more than 12,000 feet, is the highest continuous paved highway in the United States. The views from that road are staggering. The park covers 415 square miles and includes 14,259 foot Longs Peak, one of the most popular climbs in Colorado. In September and October, the meadows of the Kawaniche Valley echo with the bugling of bull elk during the annual rut, one of the great wildlife spectacles of North America. Bear Lake, surrounded by mountains and reflecting the sky in every direction, might be the most accessible, stunning viewpoint in any national park in the country. Number 13. Seattle, Washington. Seattle occupies one of the most spectacular natural settings of any American city. Surrounded by Puget Sound, Lake Washington, the Olympic Mountains to the west, and Mount Rainier, a 14,411-foot dormant volcano. Looming to the southeast, Seattle is a city where nature is always visible and always impressive. The Space Needle, built for the 1962 World's Fair, remains the city's iconic landmark. Pike Place Market, one of the oldest continuously operating farmers markets in the country, sits on a bluff above the waterfront and is a sensory wonderland of flowers, fish, and fresh produce. Boeing, Amazon, Microsoft, and Starbucks all have deep roots here, making Seattle one of the most economically dynamic cities in the country. And the coffee culture, dense, serious, and constantly evolving, is unlike anywhere else. Number 12. Miami, Florida. Miami occupies a unique position in the American imagination. It is the northernmost city in Latin America and the southernmost major city in the United States. It is a city where Spanish is heard as often as English, where the Caribbean and North America meet, and where the combination of sun, water, culture, and nightlife creates an atmosphere that is genuinely intoxicating. South Beach on the barrier island of Miami Beach is famous worldwide for its Art Deco architecture, the largest concentration of Art Deco buildings in the world, along with its white sand and vibrant party scene. The Wynwood Walls neighborhood has become one of the most important outdoor street art museums on the planet. The design district reflects Miami's growing status as a global center of fashion and contemporary art. And Calle Ocho in Little Havana pulses with music, food, and cultural energy that is completely its own. Number 11. Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a city built for the explicit purpose of being a capital, and it succeeds at that purpose with remarkable grandeur. The National Mall stretches nearly 2 miles from the Lincoln Memorial to the U.S. Capitol, flanked by the Smithsonian Institution's collection of museums, which are all free and together represent one of the greatest concentrations of art, history, science, and culture anywhere in the world. The Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the Korean War Veterans Memorial, and the newer Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial all carry a weight that is palpable when you stand before them. Georgetown, with its Federal-era townhouses and waterfront, provides an escape from the grand scale of the monumental core. Cherry blossom season, when the trees around the tidal basin burst into bloom in late March and early April, is one of the most beautiful things that happens annually in any American city. Number 10. Glacier National Park, Montana. Glacier National Park sits in the northwest corner of Montana, sharing a border with Waterton Lakes National Park in Canada. Together, they form Waterton Glacier International Peace Park, the world's first such designation. The park protects over 1 million acres of some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in North America. Going to the Sun Road, which crosses the Continental Divide at Logan Pass, is one of the great scenic drives in the world. The views it offers of hanging valleys, glacial lakes, and jagged peaks are extraordinary. But there is a note of urgency here. There were 150 glaciers in the park when it was established in 1910. Today, fewer than 25 remain. Scientists project that by 2030, they may be gone entirely. Visiting Glacier is not just a trip to see beauty. It is a chance to witness something that will not always be here. Number 9. Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is many things simultaneously and refuses to be reduced to any single one of them. It is the entertainment capital of the world, yes. It is celebrity culture and Hollywood and the Walk of Fame. But it is also one of the most diverse cities on Earth, a place where over 200 languages are spoken and where cultural communities from across the globe have built thriving neighborhoods that preserve their traditions while adding to the city's extraordinary complexity. The Getty Center, perched in the Santa Monica Mountains, is one of the finest art museums in the country. Griffith Observatory offers views over the entire Los Angeles basin. Venice Beach has been a showcase of outdoor Los Angeles culture since the 1960s. And the food, from Korean barbecue tacos to Peruvian ceviche to Vietnamese pho, reflects a city that is constantly reinventing the American table. Number 8. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas should not exist. It is a city of more than 2 million people built in the middle of the Mojave Desert, where summer temperatures regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit and annual rainfall barely reaches 4 inches. And yet it is one of the most visited cities in the United States, drawing more than 40 million visitors every year. The Strip, a 4.2-mile stretch of Las Vegas Boulevard, is a parade of architectural extravagance. The Bellagio's fountains dance to music in a show that runs every 15 minutes around the clock. The high roller observation wheel, at 550 feet, is the tallest in the world. Beyond gambling, Las Vegas hosts world-class restaurants, Broadway-caliber shows, and some of the most spectacular concerts and sporting events on the planet. And just 30 minutes away, the Valley of Fire State Park offers absolutely stunning red sandstone formations that feel like another planet. Number 7. Zion National Park, Utah. Most national parks invite you to look outward, to stand on a rim and survey a vast landscape below. Zion does the opposite. The canyon is so deep and the walls so close that you walk along the canyon floor looking upward at walls of Navajo sandstone that rise 2,000 feet above your head in shades of white, pink, orange, and red. The Narrows, where the Virgin River carves its way through a slot canyon barely 20 feet wide in places, is one of the most unique hiking experiences in the world. Angel's Landing, accessible via a trail with chains bolted into the rock face for safety, rewards those willing to brave its exposure with views that justify every single step. Zion sees nearly 5 million visitors per year, and every single one of them is there for a reason. Number 6. San Francisco, California. San Francisco is a city built on hills overlooking one of the greatest natural harbors in the world, and it has been attracting people with dreams for centuries. The gold rush of 1849 made it one of the fastest-growing cities in history. The tech revolution of the late 20th century made it one of the wealthiest cities per capita on the planet. In between, it was the incubator for the Beat generation, the counterculture of the 1960s, the gay rights movement, and a food revolution that changed how Americans think about what they eat. The Golden Gate Bridge, completed in 1937, remains one of the great feats of engineering and a sight of genuine beauty. Alcatraz, the island federal penitentiary that operated from 1934 to 1963, sits in a bay and offers tours that are both historically rich and genuinely atmospheric. The cable cars, the Victorian painted ladies of Alamo Square, the seafood at Fisherman's Wharf and Chinatown, the oldest in North America, all contribute to a city of inexhaustible personality. Number 5. The Florida Keys. The Florida Keys are a chain of islands that extend in a gentle arc for about 125 miles off the southern tip of Florida, connected to the mainland by U.S. Route 1, known here as the Overseas Highway. Building this road required constructing 42 bridges, the most famous of which is the 7-Mile Bridge, completed in 1938. Driving it feels like driving across the ocean. Key West, at the very end of the chain, is one of the most distinctive towns in America. Ernest Hemingway lived here for a decade. Tennessee Williams spent his winters here. The Sunset Celebration at Mallory Square, where street performers, vendors, and tourists gather every evening to applaud the setting sun, has been happening nightly for over 40 years. The coral reef ecosystem of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary is the third largest barrier reef system in the world and one of the most important marine habitats in North America. Number 4. Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone is not just the world's first national park, established in 1872. It is one of the most extraordinary geological features on Earth. The park sits atop one of the largest active volcanic systems on the planet, a supervolcano that has erupted 3 times in the last 2.1 million years, and that continues to power thousands of geothermal features across the park's 3,472 square miles. Old Faithful, the park's most famous geyser, erupts with remarkable predictability every 60 to 110 minutes, shooting superheated water up to 185 feet into the air. The Grand Prismatic Spring is the largest hot spring in the United States and the third largest in the world. Its rainbow of colors produced by temperature-adapted microbial mats. The Lamar Valley, in the park's northeast corner, is the best place in the lower 48 states to see wolves, bison, grizzly bears, and elk in a completely wild setting. Yellowstone is a wonder of the natural world. Number 3. Hawaii. Hawaii is the only U.S. state that is entirely composed of islands, and it is the only state located entirely within the tropics. The archipelago stretches for 1,500 miles across the Central Pacific Ocean and includes 8 main islands, each with its own distinct character. Oahu is home to Honolulu and the iconic Waikiki Beach, as well as Pearl Harbor and the USS Arizona Memorial. Maui has the road to Hana, one of the great scenic drives in the world, and Haleakala, a dormant volcano whose crater is large enough to swallow Manhattan. The Big Island is home to Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, where you can watch lava flowing into the sea in real time. Kauai, the oldest of the main islands, has the Na Pali coast, sheer emerald cliffs rising 4,000 feet above the Pacific that look more like a film set than reality. Hawaiian culture, its music, its hula, its relationship with the ocean, its concept of aloha, give the islands a spiritual depth that goes far beyond their beaches. Number 2. New York City, New York. New York City defies superlatives. It is the most populous city in the United States, the financial capital of the world, the global center of fashion, publishing, theater, and contemporary art, the most photographed skyline on Earth, and home to more languages, cultures, and cuisines than any other city in the world. The 5 boroughs, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island, each have distinct personalities and could each sustain a week-long visit on their own. Central Park, 843 acres of greenery in the heart of Manhattan, was designed in 1857 and is visited by more than 40 million people per year. The Metropolitan Museum of Art houses over 2 million works spanning 5,000 years of human civilization. Broadway has been the standard of theatrical excellence in the English-speaking world for over a century. And then there is the New York that is not in any guidebook. The food cart serving Yemeni lamb rice at 2 in the morning. The jazz club in a Harlem basement. The view of the Manhattan skyline from the Brooklyn Bridge at twilight. New York is inexhaustible. You could spend a lifetime here and still not see it all. Number 1. The Grand Canyon, Arizona. And here we are. Number 1. The Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is 277 miles long. It is up to 18 miles wide and reaches a depth of over a mile. It was carved by the Colorado River over the past 5 to 6 million years, though the rock layers exposed at the bottom are nearly 2 billion years old, almost half the age of the Earth itself. Those numbers tell you nothing about what it is actually like to stand on the rim and look out. No photograph, no film, no description has ever fully conveyed the experience of that first sight. The canyon does not reveal itself gradually. You walk to the edge, and it is simply there, vast beyond imagination, layered in reds and purples and oranges, silent in a way that feels ancient and absolute. The South Rim, open year-round, offers a range of viewpoints, hiking trails, and ranger-led programs. The North Rim, higher and more remote, offers an even more solitary experience. The Rim-to-Rim Trail, crossing the canyon from one side to the other, is a 21-mile journey through layers of geological time that few experiences can match. The Grand Canyon does not require explanation or justification. It is simply one of the greatest things that exists on the surface of this planet. And it is number one on this list because it earns that position every single day. That is our complete countdown, 50 incredible places to visit in the United States, from the fog-wrapped coast of Big Sur all the way to the ancient depths of the Grand Canyon. The United States is a country of staggering diversity. Its landscapes range from Arctic tundra to tropical coral reef, from rainforest to desert, from glaciated mountain wilderness to the teeming heart of the world's greatest city. Its cultures reflect every corner of the globe. Its history, complicated and profound, is written into its cities, its landscapes, and the faces of its people. Wherever your next trip takes you, I hope this list planted a seed, or maybe watered one that was already growing. If you made it all the way to the end, drop a comment below telling me which destination you want to visit most. I read every single one. If you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel more than you might think. New videos go up every week. Until next time, keep exploring.